welcome to today's class. Today we're going to work with the theme of effortlessness and balancing our effort in poses with a sense of ease so that we're not working too hard and we can sort of relax into the poses as we work through our practice. And so to start, we're going to start with complete ease. We'll be in relaxation pose. You can come all the way down to your back. And your choice if bent knees or straight legs is going to feel better for you today. You might check in with your lower back and your hips to make your decision. And if knees are bent, you could even take the feet out wide and then let the inner knees relax in toward each other. Bringing your arms to rest down on the floor. Eyes can soften, close as you're ready to turn your attention inward. Right away, just starting to notice any places in your body where you might be carrying a little tension. Maybe around your shoulders, maybe around your jaw or some of the muscles of your face. Maybe it's a bit into the chest or belly. Or maybe even in the hips. Whatever you find, see if you can allow the support of the floor to hold the tension, releasing it from your body. Creating more ease in your body with every exhale as you let go of a little bit more tension. As the tension releases and dissolves, you might notice a little bit more ease coming into your breath. Every breath has a soft and smooth quality to it. You can invite the mind to focus in on this smooth flow, in and out. With our last few breaths here, our mind is absorbed by the flow of breath. Feeling the ease and sense of effortlessness. And then with your next inhale, reach your arms up and back. If your knees were bent, you could straighten your legs as well, just taking a big full body stretch here. Sometimes it's nice to press out through one heel and then the other. Maybe reach a little longer through one arm and then the other. Little side to side motion. And then we'll relax our stretch here, bringing both knees into a bend, feet on the mat. We'll take arms down by our sides and then lift the right knee and hold on to the back of the right thigh. Drawing the thigh in. Elbows are bent but relaxed by your sides. And then start to press the thigh away this time. Feeling how that turns on some muscles in the back of the leg and also your lower back, getting a little bit of a stretch there. Trying to keep the shoulders grounded, but arms mostly straight. And then we'll point the toes and lift the toes up high. So a fairly big stretch into the back of the right leg here. Continuing to press the back of the leg forward into the hands. We'll take one more full breath. And then release your hands down. Keep your leg high. And start to make some circles right around the hip joint. And we're going to keep these circles fairly slow so that we're calling on our abdominal muscles to do some work here. You can reverse the direction. We'll just take about 3 or so each way. And we want to keep the left foot active so that we're not tipping side to side in the hips. And then we'll lengthen up through the right leg, breathing in. And as we breathe out, draw the belly down and reach the fingers up toward the toes. Curling up here, fingertips reaching up toward the foot. And then we'll lower back down, shoulders and arms to the ground. And then bend the right knee, right foot lowers to the mat. We'll hold on to the back of the left leg as we lift the knee and thigh and draw them in toward the left ribs and chest. And then with the inhale, we'll press the knee and thigh forward. Arms straighten without lifting up the shoulders. Back of the left thigh presses forward into the hands. So with that active pressing in the left leg, we feel the muscles turn on through the left side and the left back body. With the inhale, stretch your left toes up, pointing your toes up toward the ceiling. And continue to press the left thigh forward into your hands. Building some strength here in the back of the left leg through the hamstring muscles. Breathing in here. And breathing out, we keep the leg high, but release the hands down. Finding those circles now through the left leg. Left leg stays straight, but we're tracing our circles right around the hip joint. Trying to keep them controlled and even on all sides. And then reversing the circles. And with your next inhale, still the left leg. With your exhale, stretch your arms up, draw the belly down, and curl up, reaching up toward the left toes. Full inhale. And exhale, lower head and shoulders first. Then bend the left knee. Left foot comes to the mat. From here, we'll lift both knees, placing hands right on top of the kneecaps, and take the knees around in some easy circles. And you can experiment here with keeping the knees together and moving them in the same direction, or you could separate the knees and then bring them back to meet. So they both just target the lower back a little bit differently. You can see which one feels better, maybe trying a couple of each type. And then from here, you can still the circling motion, roll over to one side and press up to your tabletop pose. So coming up to all fours, finding your alignment here. Elbows over wrists, shoulders over elbows, hips right over the knees. And with an inhale, we'll drop down with the belly, gaze forward. And exhale, round in, dropping the tailbone, dropping the head. Inhaling forward. And exhale, rounding in. Keeping this pretty effortless here, just starting to move into the spine. Let's take one more, opening the front body and rounding to open the back body. Breathe in, finding a neutral spine. And breathing out, pressing the hips back, child's pose. Taking a couple of breaths here. If you'd like to make this an active child's pose, you can extend your fingertips forward toward the front of the mat. Lengthen through the sides of the waist, especially the line from the outer shoulders down to the outer hips. With your inhale, rock forward to tabletop. And with your exhale, take your hands forward one step each. Lowering the hips down a few inches for a version of plank pose. We want to keep the inner elbows spinning about halfway forward so that the inside of the elbow is facing the opposite corner of the mat. The chin is slightly lifted away from the chest so that we can look out and a bit forward of the hands. Let's take one more breath here. And with the exhale, lift the hips, press back, child's pose. Inhale, come forward to tabletop once again. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and find a long downward facing dog. And actually, we're going to take it wide with wide feet. So feet about mat's width apart. Lifting the hips and then bending into the knees, just alternating here to create a little more space in the back of the legs. Take a breath in, coming back to 2 neutral legs. Then find a small bend in your knees. We're going to walk the hands back toward the back of the mat, keeping feet wide. Finding our ragdoll forward fold here at the back of the mat. Fingertips can touch down to the ground. They might also be up on your shins, or you could hold your opposite elbows here, whichever variation feels supportive for your body. And let yourself sway a little bit here, side to side. You might even straighten the leg that you're leaning away from as you sway. And then we'll come back to neutral. Breathe in, lengthen the spine out and forward, hands to the shins. And exhale, knees bend and fold. Again, like that, inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. This time as we breathe in, we'll walk the hands out to plank pose, lengthening the body here. Take your feet back hip width apart. Breathing in here. Breathing out, knees lower, belly and chest lower. Tucking the elbows in as you lower to the floor. Inhale, curl the chest up as you hug the shoulder blades in together. And exhale, lower back down to the ground. Again, like that. Inhale, little lift, small cobra pose. Exhale to lower. Inhale, lifting, looking forward. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, hands press into the floor, lifting up to tabletop. Exhale, hips go back, child's pose. With your inhale, find tabletop pose once again. We're going to make our way forward to the top of the mat. And if blocks are helpful for you to make that transition, you could grab them, placing blocks underneath the hands, and then stepping 1 foot at a time, coming up toward the top of the mat. Feet land. We'll let the spine hang down heavy from the hips. And then with bent knees, rolling all the way up to stand. Shoulders lift, head lifts, and then shoulders drop down the back. Finding your mountain pose. Really great pose to find that balance of ease and effort. So the body is engaged here. Legs, chest, shoulders. But there's also a sense of being relaxed. It's Steadily balanced between both feet. Feeling how open the body can feel when we're in alignment, stacking all of the bones and joints on top of each other. Breathing in, we'll circle the arms out and up, reaching tall. Breathing out, bend your knees. Keep a flat back as long as possible as you fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Keep your knees bent. Take your hands to your hips. We're going to rise up with a flat back using a strong belly. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hands release, mountain pose. Another round just like that. Inhaling, arms rise. Exhaling, folding over the legs. Inhale, halfway up, flat back. Exhale to fold. Hands to hips. Imagine pressing your sitting bones down into your heels. Inhale, lifting all the way up. And exhale, hands release by your sides. Inhale, take your arms up and out. With your exhale, arms forward as the hips go back, chair pose. So keeping the hips fairly low here, but if the knees are sensitive, you could bring you up a little higher with your hips. Finding that place where you have some challenge, but you're not straining too hard. Lower back is long and the belly is scooping up and in. Inhale, pressing into the feet, rising up to stand. And exhale, arms circle, folding forward and down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, sweeping the arms up as you lift. Exhale, arms forward, chair pose. This is a great place to check in, finding that balance of ease and effort. It's one of those poses we tend to over-effort. So let your breath be a measure of your effort here. If the breath is compromised, sit up a little bit higher. With the next inhale, we'll press into the feet, rise to stand. And exhale, hinge forward, fold down. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, rise to stand. And exhale to mountain pose. 3 full breaths here. And then if you like to use blocks, you can grab them for a couple lunging poses. You could set them up right outside of your pinky toes so that they are there for you to rest your hands on. Breathing in, we'll sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, chair pose. Chest stays lifted here, so making sure we're not dropping the chest down toward the thighs. Finding that engagement through the abdominals. Here, there's a little bit more weight in the heels than the balls of the feet. Inhale, we rise up to stand tall. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. Inhale, take your hands to the blocks if you're using them. Step back with the right foot. And keep the right knee lifted so that the whole right leg can be long and strong. Stay open through the upper chest so that the collarbones are wide. Take a full inhale and exhale to step forward. Right foot comes up next to the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Knees soften as you drop in. Inhale, hands to the blocks or fingertips to the ground. Left foot steps back. Staying up high on the ball of the left foot. Left heel presses back, so there's a lot of energy through the left leg. And that energy continues all the way up through the side of the waist. Full breath in. And with the out breath, stepping the left foot forward. This time, step back with the right foot. You might take a slightly shallower stance here, keeping a bend in the left knee. And then start to draw the inner thighs together. Feeling how that really stabilizes the lower body. And from there, we're going to lift up. Placing hands to hips. Maybe bringing a slight bend into the back knee. And since we're working with this idea of effortlessness, this might be enough. Balancing ease in this pose with the effort it takes to be here. If you'd like a little more, you could reach the arms up. Full breath in. Full breath out as you circle the hands down. Step the right foot forward, back to a standing forward fold. Inhale, step back with the left foot. Again, for this side, maybe a slightly shallower stance. So not quite reaching that left leg back all the way, but sometimes it's helpful to take the toes in about 2 inches or so. And then creating that stability for yourself. Inner thighs hug in, legs are really active. And breathing in, we lift up. Maybe finding a bend in the back knee. Staying here or reaching the arms up. Low belly is lifting. Tailbone is lengthening down. Let's take one more in breath. And with the out breath, hands lower down. We step forward with the left foot. Inhale, press into the feet, rise all the way to stand. And exhale, arms lower, mountain pose. One more breath cycle here. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and out. Exhale, Inhale, hips back, arms forward, chair pose. 2 more breaths here. Feeling the strength of the legs, the strength through the abdominals as well as the spine, helping you stay long and open. Inhale, rising up tall. And exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Fingertips to the ground or hands to blocks. We'll step back with the right foot. Finding a little bend in that right knee. Finding that same slightly shallower stance. Creating that steadiness in the legs, hugging the inner thighs in toward the middle of the mat. And then rising up, hands to hips. If it feels good for you, you can bring the arms up for a breath or two. And then we'll all bring hands back down to the hips. Take a full breath in, lengthening through the spine. And with the out breath, we'll step the right foot forward, chair pose. Right foot lands, hips lower. Inhale all the way to stand. Exhale, mountain pose. Arms circle down. Finding the steadiness of your breath. Letting that steadiness carry through your mind and body. Creating more internal ease. And we'll move into the second side. Breathing in, arms expand high. Breathing out, hips sink down, fingertips reach forward. Staying for a breath. Inhale, rising up to stand. Exhale, fold forward and down. Inhale, we take hands to the blocks or fingertips to the ground. Left leg steps back. And again, not your longest reach with the left leg, slightly shallower. Finding a small little bend in the back knee, trying to keep the deep bend in the front knee. And then hugging the thighs in to lift up. Either staying here, hands on hips, or arms reaching up. And if arms are overhead, we'll circle the hands back down to the hips. Keeping that stability, stepping forward into the right foot. Left foot lands, chair pose, hips stay low. Inhale, rising up, arms go overhead. And exhale, arms release, mountain pose. Final breath here. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. Nice big stretch. Exhale, fold forward and down. You can take your blocks off to the sides. Bend your knees here to ground your hands down. Step back to a brief downward facing dog. Taking a moment to lengthen both the arms and the legs. And then bend your knees. Touch the knees down to the floor and stretch back to child's pose. Reconnecting with your breath. Observing how your body feels. And noticing where you can bring in a little more ease. Where you can allow some tension to release. And sometimes it's helpful to envision sending breath to those areas of the body that might feel a little bit more tense. With our next inhale, we'll start to lift the hips, bring the shoulders forward, and then take the feet around to one side, coming down to sit. And we're going to sit with knees bent, feet flat on the mat. Feet will be about hip width apart here. So heels in line with the center of the hips, knees fall right in the center of that line. And then we want to press the hands into the shins and use that to lift the chest. And right now, we're not going for any kind of back bend in the upper back, but instead just lots of length and space. So notice here the amount of straightness in your arms. Chances are you'll have a little bit of a bend. We want to take the chest back slightly so the arms get straighter and feel how that calls on your abdominal muscles to keep the spine long. With your in-breath, lift the chest, slightly bending the elbows. And exhale, take a little tip back. Inhale to lift, spine stays straight. Exhale, lean away from the legs. Inhaling, lifting up. And with your exhale, widen the knees. Take the bottoms of your feet together and fold. Taking a couple breaths here to relax into this fold. Hands should be so light on your legs or feet that you could lift them up. You're not pulling yourself down here, but instead hands just rest there. And then with the inhale, we'll lift all the way up. Exhale, bringing the knees together and finding that same position, feet hip width apart on the mat. And then we'll take hands now behind the backs of the knees. And you might lean back slightly here to lift up the right shin. Right foot will be flexed. Take another in-breath. And exhale, lower the right foot. Inhale, left foot lifts. Toes are aiming up. And if it feels like too much to lean back, you can take the belly a little closer to the legs. And then we'll lower the left foot down. And you might take another round alternating like that. Or you might try lifting both feet up at the same time. Hands can stay at the backs of the legs, but we stay really engaged in the core here so that the lower spine doesn't round down and back. Inhale and exhale, feet lower back to the mat. We're taking hands to the fronts of the shins now. We'll bring the right hand all the way back to the space behind the right hip. Fingertips turn away, so fingertips are aiming toward the back of the mat here. And then left hand comes over to the right shin. Finding a twist here. Drawing the right shoulder back, left ribs forward. And what usually happens is that the right hip crease wants to pull back as well, but we want to avoid that so there's no twisting in the pelvis. So instead we pull the right hip crease slightly forward and left hip crease slightly back. Inhaling here and exhaling, hands come back to shins, turning forward. We'll take the left hand around and behind the left hip. Right hand comes over to hold the left shin. Finding our twist here. Left shoulder draws back, left side of the chest is open. Finding that neutral position in the pelvis. Slightly pulling the right hip crease back. Last inhale. And exhale, turn forward, hands to shins. And then we'll keep the knees bent, but you might slide forward just so you can lay down on your back. Moving into reclined pigeon pose, we'll bring the right ankle near the left thigh. It'll actually connect, but the ankle will be near the knee. And then you can take the right hand to the right thigh and press it forward slightly. If you'd like to add on to this, you can hold on to the back of the left leg. Still trying to keep the right knee moving forward. We want to check the left leg, especially if the foot is lifted from the floor. Make sure that the left knee is right in line with the left hip. Sometimes we tip over onto the bent leg side where the ankle is crossed. And instead, we want to keep the left knee directly over the hip. Keeping ease in the breath and allowing that ease to create more space in the right outer hip. So this is often a source of tension for many bodies, which makes it even more important to keep ease in the breath, helping that tension to dissolve. We'll take our final breath. And then start to lower the left foot down if it was lifted. And then release the right leg. Right foot comes back to the mat. And then we'll bring the left ankle over the right thigh, widening the left knee out and forward. Maybe taking the left hand to the left thigh. But if you do so, make sure the left shoulder stays down on the ground. And if you'd like to add on here, you could draw the right thigh in, holding on to the back of the leg. Checking in with the right knee, making sure it's on top of the right hip. Our final few breaths here. And then we'll release the right leg. Right foot comes back down, and then the left foot. And then we'll hug both knees into the chest, holding on to the backs of the legs here. Shoulders stay grounded, and even the tailbone stays grounded. So we're not curling the legs in so much to lift the lower back. You might stay here with the knees in close. Another option would be to widen the knees apart. And for a lot of bodies, this is enough. It's a nice release, and we can get a little mild stretch into the hips and in our thighs. If you would like more, you can flex your feet and try to lift the heels over the knees. You might even hold on to the shins by bringing your arms inside of the knees. The palms will be facing in toward each other, and then you just rotate the hands out so that you can hold on to the shins. Feet are flexed if you're in this variation. Taking our final breath. And then we'll all return to knees into the chest, knees close into each other. Giving the legs one final squeeze. And then releasing the feet down. Taking the legs out straight as we set up for relaxation pose. Heels have some space between them. Toes will likely have even more space between them. And once you've found your position where you can rest comfortably, sense the ease in your body. Fully being with this experience of no effort. Letting your mind rest with this experience. starting to wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe moving through your wrists and ankles. And you could choose to take an overhead stretch with your arms, or just starting to send some more energy out through arms and legs. And when you're ready, you can bend your knees, hugging them into the chest. Maybe moving a little bit side to side. And then we'll roll all the way to the side. Press up into a seat and close your eyes here. Taking a final moment to tune in, observe, and reflect. Paying attention to what might have shifted or changed. And if it feels right to you, maybe considering how you would like to bring this quality of effortlessness into certain parts of your day ahead. Together, we'll reach our arms out and up, joining our hands at the top and lowering them down to the heart. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.